Start that. Okay. So we are being recorded. So if anybody is uncomfortable with their video image or their voice being recorded, you can turn off the video. You can stay on mute and use the chat for any questions. We will be posting this to our YouTube channel sometime in early July. I'm Ken Crooker with the St. Louis Pen Show. Welcome to day 2 of the Pen and Penmanship Expo. We've got about 18 different sessions lined up over this weekend and the following 2 weekends. We've got lots of great guests, so make sure you check in. There's probably several that you'd enjoy going to. Like I mentioned a minute ago, we are recording this, so you can go ahead and use chat because we're putting everybody on mute. Yeah, and I just mentioned a little bit about the schedule. The Zoom email that came out when you registered had like blanket window times, which don't match to the sessions. And we had a lot of movement with the sessions, some cancellations, some additions, some shifting around. So the website and our social media has all the updated sessions from that. All right, so I would like to welcome Greg Hardy. I see 2 spots with Greg. Your video, are you with me, Greg? Oh, that's strange.
And
all right, I should have.
It's not liking my bandwidth right now again already.
Yeah.
Are you feeling better about that? Can you hear me?
Yes, can hear you. So I should.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Yeah, I've got you spotlighted so everyone can see you. Yeah, I'll go ahead and turn it over. If anyone's not familiar with Greg, he is one of the big artisan pen makers in the pen community, and he does some pretty amazing work. So Greg, welcome. Thanks for joining us, and I will turn it over to you. Uh-oh, did we lose you? We may have lost Greg. Greg, if you can hear me. Oh, he left. All right, we'll give him a minute to get back in. Yeah. Yeah, I know he's out in a rural area and he picks up Wi-Fi from the house a little ways away. So when he gets back, maybe we'll keep the video off and just have him on audio. Yeah, I see that, Vic. I think that might be his wife. She might be in the house, unless she is impersonating him. I've had a couple of conversations with Greg recently, and they went great. His bandwidth was great. Didn't drop off. So. Thanks for confirming, Jason. That was Carlene. It's his wife. Hmm. Yeah, it's always when you're trying to go live, isn't it? Practice runs always go great. Get the real deal and you have troubles. Yeah, good old Murphy. Yeah, it happens to me at work all the time too.
What?
Is everybody gone?
Yeah.
You going anywhere today?
No.
Is Greg coming in the house?
Hang on, Dad. I'm trying to do this to. Oh crap.
Hey, Carlene, you're on. I don't know if you can hear me, but we can see you. Oh, he's back.
Greg Hardys. You've got 2 Greg Hardys right now.
Yes.
Yes, and you're about to have 3 because I'm going to join from my phone.
All righty.
I'll keep one of us hooked up somehow. Here's, at this point, Ken, it's a shop tour. I'll talk a little about that.
All righty. I'm sharing now. So this is the right one, right?
You're sharing, so I'll be able to see it. Right. As Ken said, my name's Greg Hardy. I'm a small pen maker. I am located at the
Hey, Greg, your audio is going in and out again. Maybe you should turn off your video feed. Maybe the audio will improve.
Where is it?
You told me to
Where's your
send
Zoom?
I shut the Zoom down when I came out.
No, you're on. We can hear you.
Ken, have you got me?
All right. Very cool. All right, I'm going to restart the video. Yeah, your audio dropped off again, so let me.
Now, I bet you can hear me, but I can't hear you.
Oh no. Yes, we can hear you.
Just proof that whatever can go wrong will. Ken, will you nod so that I know you can hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to go ahead and chat. Ken's video, the video that he's running is a quick walk through my shop as it once was. My shop has actually undergone a lot of changes and is ripped apart for more changes right now. So this was as close to presentable as I had. You're seeing a metalworking area where I solder material. There is a tumbling system in the corner that I use for sanding and so on. My jeweler's bench, and it always looks like a bomb site, plain and simple. That's just how it looks. Metal cutting bandsaw. This is like any old wood bandsaw, except it turns much slower. I can see it's complete with children art, grandbaby art on it. Then a quick run around the room. I don't know why you don't have sound on. Another bandsaw, but that is a wood bandsaw. It's made just for cutting softer materials. This is a metal lathe, a manual metal lathe that I use to do 90% of my turning. And it is that machine runs between 50 and 60 hours a week. A little wood lathe that we use for shaping by hand, and also for sanding and for buffing. Another buffing setup. Drill press. This is a lathe and milling machine combination. And it doesn't get a lot of use, but when I need it, nothing else works. A setup area that I used to use, blank storage above and below. Another manual lathe. This is a 1947 South Bend lathe. It is just 3 years younger than my mother. Another setup space, blanks laid out for a run of pens that we were getting ready to start at that time. And you can't run a shop without Oreos, plain and simple. And okay, that's the 2-minute tour. I'm trying to see, Ken, I don't have any sound from anybody here.
Can you?
And it may very well be my wife's computer speakers, and I have no way to make that better right now, I'm afraid. So I'm going to have to get obscene gestures from Ken. Ken, why don't you go ahead and cue up that the 10-minute video that is about how we put pens together. And you can go ahead and start that when you're ready. Basically what I've done, this is bad video, but close up so you can kind of see what's happening. And in about 7.5 or 8 minutes, you're going to see kind of a start to finish, except for sanding and buffing, an entire pen made. The process that you're watching right now, Gavin is just squaring. My son Gavin works in the shop full time now. And so he was running the lathe while I was trying to videotape things. And in this instance, he's just squaring the end of the blank so that when we decide to bore, the tool that's now going up in a drill chuck is called a center. And what it does is it machines the center, not drills it. And that's how we are sure that our drill press, or I'm sorry, our drill bit is going into the very center of the material. Okay, the drill bit comes up and it's time to drill that. And what it is peck drilling. This body, I think he's drilling the body here. It's about a 3-inch bore, but you can't just bore all the way through the end of it. It's in a little bit, out a little bit, clean up the mess, and do it again. Exit full screen, that's going to help.
Can you go down to the bottom?
I can't, because you had it opened up to full screen, and I don't see where your volume is.
It would be down.
Please come here, and you can help me.
It would be down here in this thing here.
Which one? Yeah. Okay. Hey there, unmuted the speakers. Ken, why don't you whistle Dixie for me, buddy?
Can you hear me at all?
I can now, thank you.
Awesome, good deal.
It's good to be heard, isn't it?
You want me to start the video over again, or?
You know, and this is, no, you go, as long as people could hear what I was saying.
Yep, we could hear.
Internet connection's unstable. All right, good. Now what's happening again is those, that hole is where the section will eventually thread in, and it needs to be deep enough so that the converter will fit if you're going to use a converter to fill the pen. This is a secondary bore now, and that is to depth. There was a little Sharpie mark on the drill bit you may or may not have seen, but that's to depth. Now Gavin is reaching in with a countersink by hand while the lathe is spinning, just to cut a chamfer to get rid of the corner. And he has got the part mounted in a collet and is going to tap. I think he's getting ready to tap the body. This is a spring-loaded center. That little pointy thing springs in and out of its holder, and that's what holds the tap in place while you move it back and forth. And the video is stalled at my side. A little bit of cutting oil, and then he will put that in the end and start turning it a little bit forward, then a little bit back to cut the grooves. Sorry, his hand is there, but you'll get the general idea. Rick, I was not trained as a machinist. What I am is a hack. It's all self-taught. I have machinists in the family, so it was something I grew up around, but it isn't something that I studied. I'm a retired school superintendent, so I don't know how to do anything. It's a little tough to see, and I'm not sure if this video is as jumpy for all of you as it is for me, but basically what's happening is he's going maybe 3/4 of a turn and then backing it off to cut the threads. This is a triple lead tap. That means it's cutting 3 threads at once. There are 3 starts. Most screws that you're familiar with have 1 start. It's a single thread, and this is 3 of them. He is here getting ready to cut a tenon on the body. And so this little area that he's cutting and then going back and cutting again deeper and deeper each time, this is where the cap will eventually thread onto the body. So he's got to cut threads on this too. This will be several cuts. This was for a 13mm pen. I'm actually going to show you the finished pen here at the end of the presentation. He eventually is going to measure this because he knows when he's about perfect. A lot of this boils down to we've set the machine so we know where 0 is going to be just right. And you will see him reach up in a second. Now he just advanced the cutter, and now he's going to cut again. He is taking off approximately 1 millimeter off the diameter. So it's about a 0.5 millimeter cut. Okay, now he measured. He's going to check it again. Make one final very fine cut. This was about 0.2 of a millimeter total. So he's cutting a 1/10 of a millimeter to take it where he wants it, to take it where his father wants it. And now we get the cutter out of the way, and he can start to cut these threads. Quick measure. We're typically cutting a 10 or a 13mm tenon. We're typically cutting it at about 12.8 or 8.5, just a little bit under. Now there's a die in there. It's in a die holder, and he's going to advance it to the material. And what you're going to see happen, you're going to have to watch very closely to catch it. But again, this is a triple lead, which means that there is an A thread, a B thread, and a C thread. And you're going to see him put a little oil on here, and then he's going to run that die cutter start to finish the length of that tenon. And now Dad's going to move the carriage out of the way so you can see. And as he starts to cut this, you'll see he'll go part of the way around and then come backwards a little bit. That's to break the swarth off so it kind of clears itself. and forth motion from one end to the other. I'm not sure if that's running smoothly for you guys. I'm getting worse.
Greg, did we lose you? Can everybody hear me? Okay. Yeah, it looks like Greg dropped off. I'm going to go ahead and pause this video.
I'm back if you can hear me.
Yep, back. All right.
Basically, what Gavin is doing in this process is he's cutting the first thread, and then he very slowly, he's putting the cap on to test the first part he made there. So the cap fits, and ta-da. And now this part is the worst part of pen making. He's rough sizing the outside of this. We do it kind of gently. That is the cap mounted on a mandrel. It's being supported at the closed end with a live center. So this is spinning, and he's just cutting layers off it, and he's going to cut and cut and cut. And I think I only subjected you guys to about 3 passes. It will take about 5 or so. And so when we're doing a bunch of sections and caps and bodies for 12 pens, Gavin usually has kind of a crappy day ahead of him. What Gavin was doing with those threads, you may or may not have noticed, is he would back the die off, and then he'd back up just a little bit more, and it would drop down onto the next set of threads. So we then used the A cutter to cut the B thread, the B cutter to cut the C thread, and so on. And we found that that gives us a lot smoother thread. It makes it a lot easier to clean it up and so on. And as he gets to the end of this, he'll stop the carriage from traveling. He'll crank it back by hand. And the excitement of swarf flying everywhere happens. You know, those little moments of excitement are all you have some days. You might guess we're easily amused. Now, this is just there's going to be several more cuts of this. And so, Ken, you can kind of kill that whenever you're ready.
Does that take us to the end? Oh, yeah, okay.
Of that video, yeah.
Cool.
Now, if you just want to hold here, basically, when I use the term artisan pen, I'm talking about somebody who makes everything in his or her shop. This example is a good one because this is a clip that was made in-house. The only thing that we don't make in my shop is the nib unit and the converter. This is not a clip made someplace else that we stick on our pen. We make them. We do limited runs, but every pen is made one at a time. That is to say that one blank gets cut. We cut a finial, a cap, a section, a body, and those parts travel through the process together. We might do 6 pens at a time or 12 pens at a time because it's more time efficient to, while you're set up to bore bodies, we do all the bodies for a run at once. And so that's kind of what we've been doing. And this is one of 4 basic models we offer. This particular pen is our style 10. It is a slightly tapered body, tapered cap, and clip, a slight pinch to section. And the majority of our pens are made with Jowo number 6 nibs because that's what people want. But we do basically any other Jowo or box sizes on request. Our basic pens come with a steel nib. We offer upgrades when people are interested. This is, of course, a PM1 blank by the illustrious Mr. Brooks. And if you want to go ahead on style 10, then the next one is should be a style 18. It is. Boy, this looks like another Brooks blank to me. I think it's Ghost Koi, right? The style 18 is our pseudo deco model, if you will. Tiered ends on the body and the cap. That hollow design pen clip. The section is ebony or ebonite on all of them. And the section is a little bit shorter. This section is about an 1/8 of an inch shorter than the rest of our pens. Also a slight taper on the cap and body. Our third model is our style 28, which has done fairly well for us. Straight lines, straight section, shorter clip, and it's a no nonsense clip. This is a no nonsense pen. It's a stainless clip on one of Tim McKenzie's oil slick blanks. And so those are 3 basic models. Then in February of this year, we introduced a 4th model that we call our companion model. It's a 28C. It's just like the pen that you saw a minute ago, but instead of having a clip, it has a roll stop. For us, that means we don't have to also make a finial on the cap. And what we've done with this model, we decided that we would try and create a model that was less expensive, either for the first-time artisan pen maker who's trying to scrape the cash together. This pen retails for $165, including shipping. So it's a much less expensive pen. The rest of our pens start around $225, which is kind of the going rate with many artisan makers. This is a sterling silver roll stop with our logo on it that we have cast not in-house. They're cast in Andover. For any of you that are Celtic jewelry lovers, a friend of mine in Andover, New York, his name is Steve Walker, cast these for us, but his thing is Celtic jewelry, and he's arguably the best Celtic jewelry maker in the world. That's WalkerMetalsmiths.com if you're interested in checking his stuff out. This blank is Mulberry Bloom by Tim Crow. We offer this particular pen in about a dozen colors right now. Blanks by Brooks, McKenzie, Dupress, Lesher, and Crow are kind of the 5 that we use for these. And it's all we can do to keep up with them. And if you want to just hold there a minute, Ken, one of the things that we've tried to do, our business has taken on a new face in that we used to make a boatload of $250 pens with clips. And that's what we made every day. And we've kind of pushed our limits in 2 directions. First, the majority of the pens we're making on a daily and weekly basis right now are this companion model, which again is less expensive. And 2 things happened. One of those is that 7 out of 10 of them are going to new customers who are also who are new fountain pen users. That doesn't mean they're no new people. They aren't all 25 years old, but they're people who are just breaking into the market. So this has done well for us in that regard. But we also have a lot of our regular customers who are ordering 4 at a time in different colors because it's more affordable than other models. For those of you who are part of the Instagram fountain pen family, I like to call them, the fountain pen community on IG, you know that you can't swing a banjo without hitting a pen maker in the head these days. The number of new makers that have cropped up in the last year is just simply mind-boggling to me. And there are a lot of people out there right now making a 3-piece pen, meaning a body, a section, a cap, no metal work, in the $175 to $225 range, roughly. And they're out there, and it's neat to see it growing. But I think we need to be honest when we say that Okay, we've got a straight body pen. We've got a taper body pen. You might offer a cigar pen. I don't on a regular basis. And okay, now everybody make your pen in a Primary Manipulation 1 blank by Jonathan Brooks, and I defy people to tell them apart. One guy's threads might be a little better. Some people are better at finishing ends, but you know, they're really kind of the same. And so what we're trying to do for that market is to offer one of the least expensive models with a cool silver roll stop made to still to our standards. Then at the other end are probably the pens I'm best known for making, and those are the ones with metalwork on them, with jewelry, if you will. I have a little bit of a jewelry making background, and that's really where my own spirit goes in terms of my pen making. Ken's got a video ready to come up. It's only about 2 minutes, but it's a little bit of me working on some metal work that you'll be able to see. The first part of this video, I'm using a jeweler's saw. That is a frame saw with a very, very fine blade. The piece I'm cutting on is so small that I'm not willing to put my fingers next to it. So I'm holding it down with a scribe. This is actually a little 3 spiral Celtic type spiral that I'm cutting out. This is all done by hand, and you actually don't move the saw in circles as much as you move the material around. So I just spun that and broken the last piece of it out. That part that I'm now holding is going to get finished and attached later. There's that spiral now set inside a ring, and I'm getting ready to solder this. Basically, I've got to bring it all up to heat at once. I'm using silver solder for this. And there are only 3 points touching where the outside of each spiral touches the ring. So there are really 3 little solder joints there. I'll reach up and break it loose with, because the flux will make it stick to my ceramic soldering tile. Grab it with my copper tongs, and into the water it goes. So that's been quenched. And you can go ahead to that first photograph if you would like, Ken. Now there's the spiral after I cut it out, and the 3 pieces that I cut away from it. That was originally a disc, and I cut that out with a saw. You can see that there are, on the very outside of the circle, there's a point sticking out that's going to get filed and clean. That all got handled. The reason it looks the way it does is because I made my art, then I photographed it with my phone, sent it to my computer, opened it in software, and made it the size I wanted, printed it, and then 2-sided taped it to sheet nickel. And that's how I transfer the art for stuff like this. It's a little convoluted, but I tend to do everything the hard way. The next photograph, I think, is another cutout thing. Yeah, there are a bunch of, I lined up a bunch of these little bronze florals. 3 of them have been sort of cut out. I would end up going down the rest of the line and cutting the rest of these out, separating them, filing them. These each were then going to get swaged, so they have a slight curve, and soldered to a piece, which Ken will show you next. Now, you can see those florals. They're upside down around the outside. And then there is a 7-point star soldered in a ring, which is then soldered to a big bronze disc with fluting cut into it with a file. It's sitting on a big nickel ring, a hollow band, with those florals soldered to them. All of that red stuff you see is flux. And that all has to be removed. And it is a horrible, horrible job. But if you go ahead onto the next photo, Ken, there's that part finished. That's the one you were just looking at. It is, of course, the end of a handle. There's a little more metal work at the base of the handle for a desk blotter. And this is part of a desk set that I just finished. I made this blotter the way I would want it if I didn't feel like I had to use the blotter I already have because I feel like I have to use it because I have it. I'm going to make myself a new blotter. I managed to accidentally get the curve on this and I'm just right so that it doesn't take a lot of rocking to do its job. So at any rate, that's one part of a desk set. Ken, if you click, then there is the spiral that you saw me cutting out and soldering. This is the cap for an inkwell that goes with that same desk set. It has a base that has bronze florals matching the blotter handle. This is actually a 100-year-old desk inkwell from a school desk. And it's really cool because the glass is full of cloudiness and bubbles. And the theme of this particular desk set is kind of medieval. So this glass it looks like some wizard made the glass in a cave someplace, and that's a good thing. So it worked really well. Let's see what you got next here, Ken. I don't have my notes in front of me. Okay, so that metal work is kind of, you saw some of the stuff I'm doing. I just threw a bunch of pens in that had metal work on them so that you could see some of the different things I do. This pen was made several years ago. I made a purple one and a gold one. And that is actually, the dragon on this is actually a functioning clip. This was one of the first pens I made that had a bunch of metal on it that sort of caused me to say, I wonder how much more metal I can get on a pen. And it's kind of spiraled out of control. Go ahead with the next one. This was a Conway Stewart material with a vine in an urn motif, which is less common to pens and more common to the headstocks of vintage guitars, which is another part of my background. This is probably 10 or 11 or 12 pieces of metal altogether to make this clip and the ring it's on. Then the next, this is just one quick photo. Probably the least exciting part of the metalwork on this was the clip, but this was a Jerry Garcia pen I made. I don't remember when it was, last summer, I think. There was some other metalwork on it, but this was a custom Grateful Dead red, white, and blue blank with the 13-point lightning bolt. Yeah, Kristen Crawford liked that. I saw you. What's next on tap there, brother? Okay, Jabberwock. I am a Lewis Carroll fan, and I built this pen, I don't know, 2 years ago maybe. And as you can see, the cap is, I've tried to show it in the round with the Jabberwock on one side, the Jub Jub bird on the other side. And this is entirely nickel alloy. I don't know. I think there were roughly 25 pieces of metal just in that cap sleeve. It was the nuisance of this is, of course, while you're trying to solder the Jabberwock's wing, the Jub Jub bird's falling off his tree on the other side because it gets hot and the joint breaks. And I said a lot of really bad words about Jub Jub birds for that period of time. I'm fairly certain I won't make another Jub Jub bird, but let's see what your next one is, Ken. This is probably one of my 10 favorite pens I ever made. You have trillium leaves going up the clip, and then it has simple accent rings, but if you look closely, you'll see that there are little trillium leaves on the rings on the body and on the cap. And just to give you some idea of what was happening here, sounds like Duncan Allister, the bonehead dog, is getting ready to come visit. Basically what happened in order to put that ring on the open end of the cap, that cap was a separate piece. I turned the ring in place, threaded it apart, took the ring out, did the artwork, finished the pen, and then glued it up with that ring in place. And then I had to put it in the lathe and bore it and cut the threads. And we took our time doing that. This is a very hard Italian acrylic material that's lovely, as you can see. But that was the only way to pull that off. And I was particularly proud of what I got away with here. And it actually is a wonderful pen to hold too. It's really a nice pen. What's next, brother? Kiernan. I just did this back kind of across the month of February here and there. Kiernan is an early Celtic god, pre-Christian Celtic pagan god. And Kiernan is generally portrayed as a young male, antlered. He has antlers, and it's kind of a male virility guy. I've got him shown here hiding in a tree, sort of. The wood from this pen came from the northwest, the coast along the northwest of Scotland, and Jason Olson, who is actually watching someplace. I think he's at a pub in Florida watching, as a matter of fact. Jason stabilized this wood for me. It was wych elm, and so it's been stabilized so that it won't crack. It's been impregnated with resin so that it will tolerate that. Then all of the rings you can see are bronze and antler. And that's actually whitetail, North American whitetail antler. I won't tell you that I harvested that deer just because I know how you fountain pen people get about animals, but I will tell you it tasted good. What's the next? That actually went to another pen maker. Another pen maker bought that, which that's the biggest happy in the life for a pen maker is when another maker buys one of your pens. This one went to live in Texas, as a matter of fact. But the next pen is not going to set anybody on fire, but this is probably the greatest project of love we will ever do in my shop. The pen on the left is an Osmeroid 85, and I'm going to spitball. This is about a 1960 pen, lever filled. And then the pen next to it is the prototype that we're using to make a similar pen. It is a hint bigger, as you can see. And what we wanted to do was make it to set it up with a converter so it's a little more user friendly. This is a Bach number 5 nib, a Bach number 5 076 style. So it's a little broader across the shoulders than a regular number 5. This is ebonite, and though it's very difficult to see in this photograph, there is a sterling silver Celtic knot in the end. Ken, did I say, is the next photo that, I couldn't remember if I sent you a second one or not. Okay, there's the knot. This is a sterling silver knot that's cast and then set into the top of that opening. Of course, the original Osmeroids just have a black plastic dome, and that's what holds the clip in. And we kind of took a different approach. The first person I knew who carried a fountain pen carried an Osmeroid 85 like the one you just saw. And among other things, besides being one of my dearest friends, he also was my art teacher. And he was also Steve Walker, the metalsmith. He was also his art teacher. And so Steve is collaborating with us. Scotty McCrae, after whom we are honoring this pen, passed away about 1.5 years ago now. And we're actually going to release this probably in the fall on a very limited run. And it will actually have Scotty's signature, which I can forge perfectly. That's how I got out of study hall to go to the art room, as I could sign his name on a pass. And they will be numbered, and they will be pre-sale only. So follow my Instagram feed, and you can be kept up to speed on that if you're interested. It's kind of a neat pen and a wonderful project. My son and I finished this up this week so that we could post it on June 9th, which is International Celtic Art Day. Scotty is also one of 3 men who sort of bridged. There were 2 Celtic art revivals in the 20th century with about a 20-year period of dead time between them. And Scotty and 2 other men were kind of the people who brought that art into the 1980s, when it became popular around the world again. And so this is our tribute to him. And so you might want to follow that if vintagey looking pens are your thing. Okay, what do I have anything else there, Ken? Secret Garden pen. This pen I actually showed to the Slap Me group or the Slap You group. Some St. Louis group that slaps one another. I can't keep track of them all. Some masochist group in St. Louis. This, of course, is another cap in the round. This particular pen won the Pen Artisan Guild contest last year. That contest is going on right now. I have a pen in that contest too, but I can't show it to you because they are anonymous. Because they do kind of like a reader's choice, reader's preference. I will be sharing that link, which will allow you to get on and see if you can figure out which one is mine and then vote for it. This pen is also a nominee in Pen World Magazine for Best Metal Mastery. And if you subscribe and you saw that, I had to laugh because I think there are six nominees for the Best Metal Award. It's me and 5 major manufacturers. And I look at my poor little garage shop and think about the access those, and mine's cooler than any of their pens. So who knows, maybe I can get the trophy after all. But so there's that one. I'm going to field any questions you might have, but before we do that, I'm going to let Ken get started. If you want to do that next photograph, we offered a pen on our website as of yesterday, and this is specifically for the St. Louis show. This is a custom pour Forest Park Green resin blank by Tim Crow. He did this for us last week. We were kind of behind. We did it in a companion model, so it's a closed end roll stop pen. It kind of tapers from dark to light in the cap and the body, and then a slightly lighter section. And these are on our website. It was a limited numbered run of 10, and there are still a few of them left as of the last time I looked this morning. And those 10 pens will ship with a bottle of the ink. So you win twice here, I think, with this. Ken, that next picture shows the end of it. With the prototype, the first prototype is done. I still have to put, these pens are done except for putting the finial medallion and the roll stop on them. They'll ship at the end of this coming week. It is our goal that I will have a second prototype and then the 10 pens. If something goes sideways, as sometimes it does, we might only have one prototype, but in either event, we're going to give a prototype pen away right now to somebody who's tuned in. And Ken, I think you were going to do a screenshot of everybody who's with us.
Yeah, I've got a billion things on my screen, so I'm going to stop sharing here for a minute, and so I can grab some screenshots
Perfect.
of the whole group. So if you want to talk for a minute.
Okay. I can do that. And what Ken is going to do is he's going to do a screenshot and get everyone who's watching into a counted list, and then just use random.org to draw somebody's name. And you will be getting a prototype that, well, by the way, does not come with a bottle of ink, because those St. Louis people only give me 10 bottles.
All right, I'm working on the list here.
What I'm going to ask is, whoever the person is that wins, if you've already ordered one of the pens, and I can either credit your account back to you or whatever you need to do if you actually win the prototype. We'll sort it out. Don't panic. I don't know how many Gregory Hardys there are listed there, Ken, but you can certainly not count me. If I don't see spinning green for a while, it'll be okay. I would ask that whoever,
A little bit slow.
if
here,
you,
so take it a
oh,
minute.
that's okay, no rush. If whoever wins, I am going to make it your responsibility to get a hold of me. And the way you can do that is by going to my website, and I'm going to drop that in the chat right now. I see I need to do that to everyone. And it is just hardypens.com. HARDYPENS. My wife's keyboard is a horrible pain in the backside. Okay, there's my website. So well, even if you don't win, please feel free to get on my website, go to my contact us, and that just becomes an email to me. All right, so it's easy. Feel free to get on and look around. But if you are the person that Ken draws, then, or that random.org is drawing it, not Ken. He's at no fault here. If you reach out to me, that way I can exchange information about shipping and get your address and what you want for a nib. Okay, there, Kristen asked how many hours. The pen that you just saw us turning in that video, if we just set up and do one, it takes about 3 hours. If we set up and do 8 of them at a time, it cuts that time to about 2.5 hours per pen. So that's a big help. Oh, there is a link on the St. Louis show. Thank you. So if you start talking about, you know, the pen that I just shipped off to be judged for the Pen Artisan Guild contest, I started the first week of November and I finished it 2 weeks ago. Working on it nights and weekends. I calculate that I have somewhere right around 800 hours in that pen. And of course, then I'm confronted with how do I price it? Because that desk set, when I'm done at 800 hours, you know, that's at minimum wage, that's $10,000 for the desk set. I'd like to think I'm worth minimum wage, but yeah, you know, that's kind of how that goes. Ken, are you having success?
I am. I'm just wrapping up. I took screenshots, put them on a PowerPoint slide, so I'm going to go ahead and just share my whole screen here.
Look at you.
Yeah, I'm getting fancy. Not really.
Overachiever.
My mouse died, so I have to use the little trackpad.
Oh, I'm sorry.
All right, so this should be. This is
Battery in it.
all right.
There it is. Look at all that.
All right, so there's 34 names. I'm going to eliminate the first 2 from contention there. So we've got 18 in the first one, 16 in the second. And I will bring up, where's my random?
I hope you guys don't mind if I work my Bloody Mary over while he does this.
Don't worry. So I'm going to start with person 3 to eliminate me and Greg from winning. And Max is 34. It looks like whoever's 15. We'll go back here. This is 18, 17, 16, 15. Jennifer Chittum.
Oh, okay.
if she is in fact still watching instead of,
Oh,
she
no,
actually
she's
just
there.
turned her screen on and went to get a sandwich, right?
No, she's there.
Okay, good. Just reach out to me via my website if you would, dear. That's the easiest thing to do. And I'll find out what you want for a nib and a shipping address. Won't go out till the end of the week though, when I ship the rest of them. So try be understanding. I'm old and I move slowly these days. What other questions do folks have? Can you?
Well, Greg, I have a question about you're doing it with an Osmeroid pen, and that's sort of where I started with calligraphy. So for if I've got like 65, 75s, whatever, are they worth any value or because
My experience with vintage Osmeroid is that they're not terribly valuable. I have a box full of them.
yeah.
And the reason I have a box full of them is because an important person to me carried them. He typically had about a 0.4 millimeter italic, the Osmeroid nib that is that width.
Yeah.
But his handwriting, and later my own, and still to this day my own, is really looks more like Celtic unsealed calligraphy than it does script.
Yes.
And but if you get on eBay, you can find Osmeroids that people have resacked and are all good to go pretty inexpensively. My understanding is, I'm not a vintage pen guy, so I'm a horrible person to ask, but I talked to a man years ago on a forum. His father had worked in the Osmeroid factory through the 40s and 50s and into the 60s. And Osmeroids were kind of famous for being a pretty cheap fountain pen with a pretty nice nib. A nib that was actually very functional and held up well and blah, blah, blah. And they actually ran a school program where the Osmeroid salesman would come in and give every third grader or every fourth grader a card where they were expected to copy a sentence. Then they went back to the factory. They took the child's card with his name on it, his grade, and his color preference for the pen, and they put a series of clear overlays on it and determined what nib would best suit that child based on his or her handwriting.
Oh.
So every fourth grader, so it was sort of like picture day in schools now, where, you know, on picture day, you got to bring your envelope in with your money in it, and then everybody gets their pictures a few weeks later. Every child got a custom an Osmeroid selected specifically for their handwriting style. And what a fabulous thing. And so you can still buy a lot of them on Amazon, but that would probably, or on eBay, that might be the easiest way to price the value of the ones you have.
Well, I was just wondering, you know, because you're recreating them, like they're kind of special. My pens are special, so I don't really want to sell them.
Mine too. I will when I, if you don't follow me on Instagram, try and hunt me up. And so, because the photos that are going to be posted about this, you know, one of them is I still have the last, these were the Osmeroids where the nib was permanently mounted in the section, probably mid 70s and later.
Yeah.
And this particular one, when the pen finally gave out on Scotty, he managed to get it shoved onto a wooden dip pen handle.
Oh no.
Then he wrapped black electrical tape across the joint. And I would venture to guess, I know that he wrote at least 2 300-page manuscripts dipping that pen.
Wow.
He was a prolific writer. He used that. I have it, and it is, the ink is so caked on and dried that it is round and smooth across the back where once there was a feed showing.
Yeah.
It's like this perfect piece of black plastic with a little square point sticking out of it. And you could not buy that pen from me for love nor money.
No.
But, I'll post pictures of some of these at some point, because
But
it's
you know, that's history that you need to be sharing, right? About
and I will.
Yeah.
And I will, yeah. Actually, one of the manuscripts that he finished with that pen is actually a novel which was published, and I'll get the information about that. It's kind of Well, it's a novel. That's all I'll tell you. But I know that he wrote part of that novel. As a quick aside, and I don't mean to hijack the whole chat with this one response to you, but when Scotty passed away, when he made his last, what he knew was going to be his last trip to the hospital a year ago, November, he actually took a bottle of single malt scotch, a Bible, his journal, and a fountain pen that I made. Those were the four things that he took to die with.
Yeah, yeah.
And so we're still trying to hunt that pen because I want it back now, but I know one of the family members has it and I'm thrilled. But his connection to my fountain pen and love of pens is very basic, but
It's
certainly
funny.
keep in touch.
Oh, yeah. No, thank you for sharing that, because
Oh,
this
yeah.
is part of a whole genre of history that we've all touched on, right? Or
Well,
we
and
have
each of us,
schools.
each of us has that person in their lives, in either that special teacher or that first fountain pen person, or
Yes.
the person who helped you get your first pen, and they become pretty special to us.
Well, thank you for sharing.
My pleasure. Are there any other questions? I've been making pens about 10 years. I started, as many artisan pen makers did, I started making kit pens. And the truth of the matter is, the only reason I wanted to make pens, I couldn't afford the pens that I wanted. So I said, okay, I'll start making pens. And I started making pens where I bought all of the components, as a lot of folks do. I was a superintendent, a school superintendent at the time. And we had moved into the district. I had very limited shop space compared to my previous home. And I bought a little wood lathe and started making those. And it didn't take long before I was kind of frustrated having to work with other people's designs. You know, basically a kit pen, somebody else designed that, they manufacture the parts and you make a tube to shove them on. And I did everything I could to alter kits, customize them, and finally said, all right, I've just got to figure out how to do this all by myself. So, and that was about almost 7 years ago, I guess. It'll be 10 years here in the fall that I've been doing it all together, though. And now my son is working the shop full time. Looks like we're probably going to need to hire another full-time employee before the end of the year. And it's exciting times. What else do I see? System to the numbers. There kind of is. Basically, I started stealing Martin guitar numbering. I'm also, part of my life, I build acoustic guitars and mandolins for a lot of years, and I had a guitar shop. And a Martin D18 or a D28 are very popular Martin models. If we end up coming up with another model, it will likely be a 35, just because that's another common Martin model. But there really isn't any more to it than that. You know, probably the most intricate of the three basic models is the 18, which is neither the highest number nor the lowest. It's just arbitrary 2-digit numbers that I couldn't bring myself to name them some of the warm, fuzzy names that blank makers use, or some pen makers who have a theme to their names, and mine just don't. It's a 10, or it's a 28, or it's an 18, and it's boring, but it functions, you know? What else? Happy to answer any questions. Okay, please also, for any of you, if you do have questions later, you can catch me via my website is the easiest way, or track me down via Instagram. If I'm on Facebook and Instagram, I do a lot more with Instagram because I find a much larger.
We may have lost him again. I think he fell off, folks. Sorry about that. Hopefully everybody got their questions answered. Vic, I see yours in there. I can send you that. I've got his file name, so I can send you the spelling of that. Give him another couple seconds to come back. No, it looks like he got disconnected. All right. Well, thank you so much, everybody. I'm glad that he didn't get cut off till he was done with everything, and we got the giveaway out of the way. And congratulations to Jennifer, and thank you all so much. Our next session is going to be a little less than an hour. I don't know what to expect. Frank Limper from Federalist Pens is going to be joining us from the Raleigh Pen Show. So that ought to be a bit of an adventure. And I see Greg is back. He jumped back in. Greg, thanks so much for your time and presenting to everyone. You're on mute.
Got it. Thank you. Yeah, even if you just have another question that doesn't really have anything to do with anything else, please feel free to get a hold of me. I love to chat with people about pens in general. So, it's always nice, and I appreciate it. I can't wait until we can come back to St. Louis proper in human form at some point. Let's cross our fingers, brother. What do you say?
No, we're already putting the cards out there. We're not going back. We're going to secede from the union if they try to shut us down again.
Secede from the union. You got to remember, I live in a state where we have the city of New York.
Yeah.
And we've had lots of special things specific to COVID here. It's been handled fairly well. But, we're never going to be the same people after this. Businesses in the nation don't run the same way they used to, and they will not go back, at least most of them. But I sure hope pen shows are getting underway, and those boogers that are in Raleigh, I hope it rains in Raleigh.
Well, we're going to find out how it's going here in a little bit.
Amen. Yeah, I can't wait to see. Thanks for having me again, Ken.
Yeah, thanks, Greg. Thanks to everybody. Greg, I love your designs and thrilled that you could join us for this. I appreciate it.
My pleasure.
All right. Thanks a lot, everybody.
Happy trails.
A little bit.